Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Element Podcast. My name is Askia, and on today's episode, we have a very dear friend of mine on. Her name is Holley Ward. Holly and I have been friends for the last couple of years now, as we're both photographers, and so we've worked on projects together here in Phoenix, and it was a really good episode that we got into. We actually go into her journey here to Phoenix and how her journey actually shapes how she maneuvers and works through her photography business, and we also talk about the evolution of her relationship to photography as well. And so it's a really good episode. She shares some really, really good insights, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Holley in her element.
Why the element?
Here. So it was initially going to be, and this is what was in like the first episode, but like I wanted to like take a look at people in their element.
Okay.
And so like with the first one, my homie loved cars. And
exactly.
And stuff. So I wanted to like, the plan was to go and like visit everybody in their element and record like a little piece, but it's just significantly way too not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because you have to find a time where like, you know, both of you guys have like a 4-hour block that you can record the element piece plus do a podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's really hard on
Yeah.
the actual scheduling side to actually make that happen. And so something like this is like, okay, I could set this up. I have this enough where I can invite people to just come in and like chop it up for an hour.
I love it.
You know?
That's so
it's
cool.
way easier.
Yeah.
And then just on editing time, like I don't have to edit this piece, and I want to try and scale and get a lot of content out. So it's like being able to scale. You gotta kind of slim down a little bit. So now it's called the Element Podcast, which is like the new angle is like bringing out the elements that make people great.
Okay.
And showing people like everybody has them in them, and it just needs to be actualized, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bringing out talking about the greatness in people.
Yeah.
Allowing them to discover their own greatness.
Crazy, isn't it? But let's go ahead and get right up into it. So welcome to the Element Podcast, everybody. I have a very, very dear friend of mine, Holley. Say what's up. Say what's good.
What up? What up? It's your girl, Holley.
I love it. We're keeping that in there for sure. 100%. But yeah, thanks for coming through. How are you? How are you doing? I like to do like mental health checks off rip. Like in this stage in your life, like 1 to 10, how are you? How are you feeling?
Gosh, 1 to 10 mental health. I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like, I feel like a 10 out of 10, honestly. Yeah. Just because no matter the situation, I always kind of find peace, you know? Don't get me wrong. There's been times where I'm disappointed or whatever the case, but I still find peace in all moments. So, I would say a 10 out of 10 right now for the mental health.
How in the world do you do that? I know for a lot of people, life is very up and down and their emotions ride with the wave. How do you find peace? What does that look like for you?
Well, first, I'm a woman of God,
right.
You know, so I'm resting in God. But yeah, I mean, it's the simple fact of everything is working out for my good. No matter if I agree with what's going on or not, everything is for my good, you know, and everything's gonna be all right. So that's just kind of how I find peace of like, you know, living enough life, having enough experiences, you always come out on the other side.
Right.
So if you can remember like, okay, it feels crazy, it looks crazy, but everything's gonna be all right. You find peace.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I saw something this morning when I was scrolling on Instagram, and it was something like, you know, sometimes we get worried about where we're at and we lose trust in God, but we oftentimes forget of all the things that God has pulled us through. And so it's like one of those things of like, why are you doubting now? When it's like, yo, just look back at your life, and it's like, look at the things I've brought you through, look at the things you've overcome and the person you've become. So I love that. How long have you been a woman of faith?
Oh gosh, I mean, I grew up in the church, right? Before I even kind of understood it, I was waking up on Sundays, had to go to church. So I really grew up in church. I would say maybe 5 years ago is when I rededicated my life to God, because I realized that it was my responsibility to have a personal relationship with him. So that's when I just really dug deeper and closer to him. But I've always been a woman of God. I was born his daughter. So.
Amen. No, I love to see that. Yeah. So take the crew back to the beginning. Where are you from? What's been your journey? And how in the world do you end up in Phoenix? What does that look like?
Gosh. Originally from Detroit, Michigan. My dad brought us out to Arizona when I was younger. Watched my dad have a successful commercial cleaning business, and grew up and wanted to leave the city myself because I saw my dad leave the city and make his family. So moved to Los Angeles by myself and was there about 5 years. And then I had this crazy idea, that it was like time for me to come back to Phoenix, Arizona and have a family and have a house. Yeah. And I was like, whose timeline? Right, like, who tells you that, okay, now it's the time that I have to settle down?
What pressures are making you think that that's the thing?
But that's it, right? Like going off the world's timeline versus your spirit's timeline, like when you feel, right? Instead of like, well, they said by 25 you're supposed to do this, and by, and so that's how I ended back up in Arizona. Of course, I got here, still no kids, still no family, but we're good, you know?
Peace.
But we got peace.
Right.
But yeah, no, and started, well, when I moved to Los Angeles, I was modeling. And talk about competition with yourself, right? Like I was literally in competition with myself. I think I was the skinniest, but still felt the fattest. It was crazy.
Ooh, that's a trip.
It was nuts. And yeah, so I dropped modeling, picked up the camera just because I still wanted to create, but it was just like, okay, I'll pick it up. I was actually good at it. So I was like, okay, well, let's actually really learn it. So I went to college for it, and now we're here.
Love it. What brought you out to Phoenix?
Huh?
What brought you out to Phoenix?
Originally or back? Back was the family piece.
Okay.
The family piece. Like, I literally was like, We've had a great time.
Yeah.
We've had a great time. Now it's time to have a family. And it's weird how we kind of trick ourselves into this like imaginary timeline, right? Even with projects or, being an entrepreneur, it's like we trick ourselves into this imaginary timeline of like, okay, if I start the business by year 2, I should scale. I should be by year 3, all employees building, like we make these imaginary timelines.
Right.
So.
Off of what we see socially and other people doing and stuff. It's amazing. That's amazing. So walk me through your creative journey. So you start off modeling, you pick up the camera. How did it, you went to school for it? Tell me about like the highs and the lows and some of like your favorite shoots. Like give me like a background of
in the beginning, it wasn't this like confident photographer, right? And I was just shooting and charging people $20 for headshots, and the $20 was really for gas. I was just like, can you just pay my gas?
Right.
Right.
And we'll get out there. We'll shoot you. I got you.
Yeah. And I just wanted to do headshots, because that was the hardest thing to get when I was a model, was just headshots.
Oh, really?
Headshots in LA.
Crazy.
About $1,000 for 2 photos, and it's like, so that was my thing. I wanted to get really good and make it affordable so people could get work. Like I wanted to see other people succeed with my art. Gosh, worked with so many agencies, models, actors in LA. It was a great time. I'm just having fun at this point. And then I would say year 2. Year 2 in my photography. That's when I kind of felt myself, and I was like, no more $20 photo shoots. Like, do you see my work? Like,
right. We big.
But also other people, like, wow, you're so good. And, they're loving the photos. So, I would say year 2 is when I kind of took it like, okay, I'm not just a girl with the camera. Like, actually do this thing. Because I started seeing people like succeed with my photos too, you know, making comp cards, getting booked, you know what I mean? And so I was like, yeah, okay, we can actually do this. We can actually do this. And, you know, by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like
totally.
It went from models and actors to celebrities, professional athletes, CEOs of multi-million-dollar businesses. And so I just started working with just different clientele and always stayed humble, always just kind of was like, wow, this is a great opportunity, you know? But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Tell me about that evolution of being able to confidently walk into it, right? Because like, what does that look like? What are the thoughts going through your head? Where are you? Yeah, like mentally with that, because for a lot of people, they get stuck in that. I know I used to be really stuck in that to be able to say, I am worth this, right? How do you kind of start to stand up for yourself? What does that look like?
Well, one, I mean, the piece of someone being able to profit off of my work. Like that was big, because I'm like, okay, if you're making money off of what I can produce, I should be making money off of what I can produce.
Easy.
And so I was able to like now sit at the table a little bit more confident, because I'm like, look, I have a track record of getting people booked or, you know, creating content that elevates a brand, you know. So now I'm sitting at tables more confident. I think also there was a piece of going and looking at my competitors, you know, looking at other people in the industry, and I'm like, whoa, wait, that's their price and this is what they're giving, and here I am like, you know, just like really pouring myself into my work for just the passion, just the love. It's like, whoa, wait, there has to be a point where you get confident in yourself and you get confident in your worth. And you
can start doing big ticket stuff. Yeah. I love that. So what spaces are you kind of occupying with it now with your photography?
Yeah, right now I shoot a lot of pro athletes. So I shoot a lot of athletes during off season, creating content for them, creating content for brands. So entrepreneurs that need content to sell their products or just to sell themselves. I do a lot more like lifestyle brand content. I enjoy it.
I love that. I love that. What kind of I'm always interested to hear about like where people want to take their work and their art and like kind of what's next. What do you think is what's next for you?
This is interesting, because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay? Oh yeah, same.
So 2020 like moved us to like think about that too, right? Where it's like you're no longer just shooting. You're no longer just providing a service of you hire me for your photographer, right? Like we need to become more creative, right? On how we put our brand out there, how we put our services out there, and how we really help people, you know, because as creatives, we're helping others, we're serving others. And so now, you know, where I'm at with my clientele and my niche, I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm asking those questions of like, okay, so what's next? You've taught a class, you know, I have my photography class for you know, beginners to intermediate photographers looking to elevate their shot. You know, I've had an art show where I displayed my work over the years. And so there's just all these things that I feel like I've accomplished with my camera. So I'm asking those questions of like, okay, so what's next?
Yeah.
What do you want to see?
Right.
You know, since the beginning, since picking up the camera, I've always felt like I'm going to be that lady who shoots out of her house at the end, you know, like down the line, 50 years old, 60 years old. I'm going to just be, you know, have a little studio in my house shooting because it's my passion. Right. But until we get there, what's next?
Right. Where do you see that 50-year-old Holley living with the studio in her in the backyard or whatever it may be? Where do you see that?
So I'm sure you've watched an episode of like the Kardashians back in the day, right? And like Kris Jenner's house, when you go in her house, she has like all these huge photos of the family,
right.
like
Huge
of them.
right.
I don't think I have photos of like my own people, right? But
That's funny.
That's what I vision, right? It's just like having like just really large prints where I'm like, wow, like over the course of my time, I've just been able to like create these magical photos, and now out of just pure passion, I'm able to have my back house where I just have my studio and I shoot with people, you know, because that's really how I feel now. It's like, it's pure passion. I really do love what I do,
right.
But I know at this time, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, like you have to leverage your business, but deep down, I just really love what I do. Like I really love, you know, creating for people. I love capturing their beauty, even their pain, their story. Right. Like I love just shooting people, you know, it's just a pure passion. So that's,
that's beautiful. And I see this all the time with creatives, no matter what the medium is, like whether it's painting or drawing or photography, like the relationship to the art changes. So how is like your relationship with photography? How has it evolved? How has it changed? Have you come to not like it at times and love it more so than other times? What does that look like? And then in those low times, like what did you do to kind of get out of that?
Gosh, I mean, I think the evolution of like my work, at least, it went from just headshots to like, now I want to be like behind, like, I don't want you to know that I'm there. I just want to capture you in your natural element.
Hey.
You know,
shout out the pod, baby. Shout out the podcast.
You know,
I love it.
Right. I just want to capture your element. Right?
Yeah, literally.
And so that's how like my work has evolved. As far as like photography, it's weird because I start off a passion, and then I turn it into business, and I feel like I have to, you know, be a certain photographer or run my business in a certain way, right? To be a respected photographer.
Sure.
Then you turn around and you're like, whoa, wait, but that's not filling me up like it used to, because I was just running off of pure passion. So then you have to kind of marry those two and say, okay, how am I going to successfully run a business but out of passion and keep that authenticity in there? And I think that's like how I've seen my photography evolve. And when there's times where I don't shoot for months, and it's okay for me. Like I'd rather not shoot than to feel like a shark, to feel like, oh, I'm just getting these clients. Like, who wants to pay me? Like, I don't want to feel like a shark. I want to feel like I'm a service. True. I'm a servant. I'm serving. Right. And not this like transactional business, you know. This is still, because even in your photographs, right, like the vibe, the flow, it changes a photograph
totally,
you know. So
totally. And you can sense it in the model. Like you can tell if they're not comfortable, uncomfortable, and like under the stress of like forcing this business aspect to be like front and center. Like it's important, sure, but it's because you need to eat, right? But like forcing it, you can tell through the shoots, through like when things are done from passion and like abundance versus like despair and like lack of, and like, you know, it's crazy the difference. Like you can tell from the shoots.
So it's funny. So I'm gonna take you to a little story before the podcast. Okay,
let's go.
Before I was coming to the podcast, I was supposed to drop my little sister off to get her hair braided at 8 a.m. Okay. I've had this appointment, okay, with the braider. Okay. 7:30, I call her, no answer. I've called her at least 5 times, you know. don't know like craziness, okay? But
right.
I just
like, hey,
wanted
we have
to
to
know,
make sure.
what's
Like, am I
good?
going?
Yeah.
Right.
Like I have a little girl sitting at the door with her shoes on, hair undid, like she's ready, you know?
Right.
And of course the braider never answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if she, overslept. Shout out to the braider that was supposed to
braid.
But she didn't answer, okay? So like for me, it's a couple of things. It's one, it's like, okay, yeah, giving, you're gonna miss out on the money.
Yeah.
Okay, giving, you're gonna miss out on the money, and we all understand there's multiple braiders in the world, in the valley.
Right.
Okay, so like she didn't answer the 5th time. I find another braider this afternoon.
Yeah.
But what she doesn't understand is like the effect of her gift. Right. So she was supposed to do a little girl's hair. That's actually shared with me about a week and a half ago, that kids tease her about her natural hair because she's a black girl, a little bit more coarser hair. She's going with 2 puffs. Yeah. We think it's cute, but the kids are asking, why you got balls on your head?
Yeah.
So like she's going through people talking to her. So now she's can't wait to get her hair now braided with some, hair extension added, so she's going to have a little ponytail now, boost her confidence, right? So like now you could have used your gift, which is braiding, to now help this little girl in her confidence. And then get this, so my mom, right? My mom broke her ankle 2 places, had surgery. She's like, kind of not mobile, right? My mom's like, hey, when you go take her, will you let her know, come over to the house, braid my hair, right? Now, again, the money thing. Okay, cool. Like she missed out on 2 heads. Okay, cool, right? But if you take it a little bit deeper, you could have helped out a woman who just had surgery, hasn't been feeling herself because she's, not mobile. She's not doing what she usually does. Right, she's wearing her hair in a ponytail maybe because she's just doing what she do while she's healing. Right, you could have helped that woman that probably doesn't feel the same about herself or whatever that means. You could have helped her gain that confidence because her hair's did. It's power in the hair when we get our hair cut, when we get our hair did. Right, so if we can all, like entrepreneurs especially, if we can look at our gifts, at our businesses as really, it's bigger than us. It's bigger than me with the camera.
Right.
It's bigger than me, like just taking a photo.
It's going to grow. That impact is going to keep passing on.
Yeah. It's that impact. And so, yeah, I thought I would
huge.
share that with you.
No, thank you for sharing that.
So bringing it back to like me and my photography, like I look at my photography that way, right? The business owner that felt like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what I'm gonna do in my business, like blah blah, and then she just invests in a photo shoot because she feels like this is the best thing to do, and here I am being obedient to my gift and producing something and allowing her to have a great experience through the totality, right? From booking to getting her photos. Like I just did something for her that's more than just a transaction. Exactly. Right? So
that's beautiful. And I wish people approached it a little bit more like that, because then what happens is like that's a heart posture. And when your heart is postured like that, what ends up happening is like you don't miss out on opportunities to be a blessing in people's lives. Yeah. Right. And, we call it, like people of faith, we call that God, and like maximum flourishing for everybody. Because again, like you said, what ends up happening is like, if you don't from beginning to end, don't usher in that appropriate client experience, whether it's, having to reschedule, like I hope that she now is able to call you and say, apologize and stuff like that, because that's crazy. Right. But like all the way from beginning to end, like the client relationship is huge, and like allows like me going to the barber to go get my hair cut. I'm confident. And now I'm like able to walk into a meeting and do like maximum good because my confidence is up, kind of thing. Yeah. Because you took somebody's photos and you were amazing from beginning to end. Now they have this collection and can go model in LA confidently, and then pass that on to like be an inspiration to somebody, like the butterfly effect. is very much real when it comes to our, like you said, our ability to be obedient to our gifts. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? In the 7 years, have I messed up, you know, as a business owner? Absolutely, right? But I think that like you're saying, that the what you do after that, how you learn from those lessons, like how you start to evolve as a business owner. Okay, let's see how we can change that. Like all of those things is like, it's so important for entrepreneurs to know, like, do it out of passion, do it out of love, and know that it's bigger than you. It's a gift. It's not, you know, it's a gift, honestly.
Yeah, I love that. What's been a struggle for you within your creative aspect?
Oh, what's been a struggle for me?
Yeah. Or maybe even what's a struggle that you've overcome? It doesn't necessarily need to be now.
You know, honestly, it's the struggle. It's the struggle.
Right.
It's the struggle of still holding my camera and my passion so close.
Okay.
Right. And so, for example, if you see on my social media platforms, I don't post a lot because I'm so much more like Erykah Badu. This is my work, and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
right.
like, I'm so like, you know, oh, I don't want to be judged, or, you know, I love them, but soon as someone else doesn't love them, is it not good? Like, you know, so I keep my work very dear to me, and my clients love them, and that is rewarding. Now it's like, okay, but how many geniuses go unknown?
Right. So many.
You know, like, it's like you're not placed here with this wonderful gift, with this wonderful ability to keep it all to yourself, right? Like you're here to share, because you don't know who you're inspiring, you know, the next photographer. Just watching you and your journey and knowing you for the past few years and seeing how you've evolved, you know, like that's inspiring me. You've made me so much confident in my business, right? Just seeing you evolve. So imagine if someone was able to really watch my story and watch me evolve. Who am I inspiring, right? And so I think that's one of those struggles where I feel like when I did bring someone in to push me, and like she was putting my work out, and I was like, oh my god,
like, look at this. Oh, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, she's putting me out there, you know. And it's a great feeling,
right?
But yes, that is one of those struggles where I'm like, oh girl, you know, you have to put yourself out there more, right? You know,
right? Yeah, and it's really hard because sometimes it feels clunky starting out because you don't know what the voice is 100%. Like, you don't know what that digital presence is. Yeah, and I think for me, a lot of my stuff stems from me really enjoying like the family home videos that I see, like from me when I was a baby, or like what my family was up to when we were like, you know, years and years ago. Because my grandpa was vlogging with the camcorder before YouTube was a thing, man. And so like I love looking at those and watching those. And so, you know, my hope is that like being able to do that. I was the little girl
that had the photo album. Like
let's go.
You know, developed all the Kodaks.
Yeah.
Kept them in, and so we go back and have a full on photo album. Yeah. So it's crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
Literally. And so it's like, you know, for me, it's like I want to document the journey for my grandkids. It's like maybe they may like it, or like my kids, like maybe they'll like looking at that stuff, because, you know, I think nostalgia is really like a big thing. And so, I mean, for me, it's a double edge because of the field that we're in. Like when you can document yourself really well and put yourself out there, it's like people want that for themselves, and like they're willing to pay like the premium. But I totally resonate that, especially with like a lot of the shoots that I've been doing recently aren't typically what I'd want to promote in my portfolio per se. And so like being able to like push that work out there is like still in and of the essence. And I'm like, I don't know if this is like the thing. I don't know how this is going to turn out or how it's going to be perceived on the eyes of the people that are following me. But you know, it's as of a cliche, but it's one day at a time. And like, let's do what's good.
Like for me, it's like, well, this ain't for you. This for me.
Right. It's for me.
Like,
exactly.
This is for me. But we tend to, when we look at our social media, say, okay, what's for them? So like, how can I put out the best foot forth for whoever's watching? Right. And so, and we're more of like, this is our work. We want to share it with you. But then social media says, okay, that's cool and all. We know you want to share it, but give us a call to action. Give us consistency. Give us it's all of that. Right? And you're just like, oh my God. Okay. So what's the message? How is the visuals? Like overthink. Don't post.
Like crazy. Don't post. Exactly. And then you go through this whole thing and then you don't even end up putting it out. Yes, and it's just it's an emotional toll.
I'm telling you, in the vault, like I got some hitters, but I'm just like, they're hitters. Right. Save them for the next art show.
Right.
Prints will be available. Like, because like it would be a disservice. Like, and it's crazy even how social media has the likes have also placed the value on your work, right? So like you post it and you're like, you feel like, oh, I got some fire for y'all, right? And you post it and it only get X amount of likes and you're like, okay, maybe that wasn't fire.
Not exactly.
Right?
Ugh,
but it's like, no, worst. Before you posted, was it fire?
Right.
Did your client think it was fire? Do the people that support you think it's fire? Right. You know? So it's like, it's that getting over what the symbols, you know, like the likes or the follows or the, you know, getting rid of that because, I mean, you don't have to tell me, but like really like the percentage of your work, does it come from social media? The percentage, like there's a very low percentage that comes from social media for me. Like a lot more is word of mouth, relationships, like, you know, putting myself out there, you know, by reaching out to people, you know, but a lot, I wouldn't, well, you know, I mean, like I said, there's some. That'd be like,
I was about to say the same for me, like just a little bit. There's some. Love that.
Not equating your gift or your work, you know, whether you're a creative or a business person with a shop, you know, makeup art, whatever that looks like. Not equating your gift and your work to the likes and the attention of social media, and just really putting yourself out there, you know, because you're not proud, but you're confident. You love what you do, and that's why you want to share it instead of what do the people want to know? What do the people want to see? Okay, let me go based off of that. And that's something that I'm still working through, of like not allowing social media platforms dictate how I feel about my work or how I put myself out there. Because I'm authentic all day, baby. Okay?
I love it. You know? It's so crazy because it seems like it's with our generation particularly, because like when I'm on Facebook and like the church moms that are on there, like, you know, 60s, 65, they go hard. They're taking selfies at everywhere that they go. They're full fit checks no matter what. They're completely authentic in themselves and they have no fear, which is so interesting to me. Like, that's fascinating. And like, for me, it's like, how can I walk with that same audacity? How can I even remember to take selfies like they do? Right? I'm sure there's some fine line of like, you don't want to be obsessed and taken out of the moment and stuff like that, but I really think that there's like a lesson in there of like, be like a church mom, like be straight up, like, you know, authentically yourself, and like, you know, you want no apologies for like walking in like your gifts and your presence and your essence. Like, it's awesome. that crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one thing,
Mm-hmm.
so like you're a creative,
Yeah.
you're in your element.
Yeah.
Have you ever questioned going, following your passion? And like, how did that like kind of like, how did you get so confident of like, okay, this is the path. This is the road I'm going to take.
Yeah, and I think it's almost with faith as it's the same sort of mechanism with faith that I'm thinking about right now. So like for faith, like I grew up in the church and like I've come to know God through that path of being born and raised into it, understanding the culture, understanding like the tenets of the faith, and like it's in essence like in my DNA, right? And like the same thing is with photography. Like at this point now, it's like I've been in it like a decade, right? And I've been shooting and going and navigating the space that like, oh, it makes sense. And so it almost feels like this like natural progression, and it just feels like it's in like my DNA now, like being associated with the arts in some capacity. And so now for me, like to make the jump was like I needed a certain amount of money in my savings account to be able to like really go. And I like once I hit that number, I was like, okay, like I have enough of a safety pad, and then I have enough momentum with gigs and, you know, retainers and contracts and stuff that like, okay, now let's focus on building this up if I can do this part-time, and then let's go ahead and make the jump. So yeah, it's coming up on a year like full-time creative in March. So like wild, and it's a trip. But yeah, it feels like now it's become something like a part of like identity. But I can definitely have like I've dabbled in like harnessing that creative energy differently. So like I'll put together DJ mixes, like I'll paint and sit, like
my gosh,
you know, like I'll do some stuff. Yeah,
during quarantine,
crazy.
You had with the DJ mixes.
Yeah,
those are good.
So
those are good.
Yeah, you know, just you know, there's energy, there's like expression that needs to happen, and like figuring out how that works. And I just found that like, you know, the consistent money in a full-time job is nice, but like I have to make my bed and lay in it too.
Stay true to who you are.
I gotta be me.
But I love that because it felt like I went through something in 2020 where I was like last year actually, 2021.
Crazy, yeah, it's flying by.
Yeah,
it's a trip.
In 2021, where I was just like, I started questioning everything, right? Like, well, why do you do photography? Like, you could be anything you want. Like, it's not too late. You can literally go to school right now and be a nurse in 4 years. Like, it's never too late to do what you want. Why do you choose photography? And kind of like what you were saying, it's like, it feels so much more a part of me, of who I am, because it came so natural. It wasn't something that I forced or something that I said, I want to be, you know, a professional photographer. Like it was like I picked up the camera, I was good at it, I enjoyed it, I kept doing it, and then I started making money doing it, and then I was like, and I cook good, so I know something up with these hands.
Right. What's going on?
I can shoot good. I can cook good.
Right.
You know?
You just plug in. I got you.
No, but you know, so I'm like, it's just a part of me. You know, it really is. Like when I think of all the things that I could be doing, it really does just feel so natural. Right. You know, it really comes very. They say what comes easy for you that is hard for others, you know. Well, I thought everybody could take photos until, you know, you really realize, oh, no, okay.
No,
I guess everybody can take a picture, but not everybody can create.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to clip that. We're going to clip that. That's going to be that's a clip right there. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's huge. Because, like, that's your value proposition, right? That's like your contribution. It's like your gift. It's like the thing that makes people even more special. It's like the things that they're really good at. And it's just always fascinating to me. Like I've been reading philosophers and stuff, and like one of the things that they talk about is like interests. like why are our interests the way, like where do they come from? Why do we like art? Like why do we like cameras?
Yeah.
That's such a random, peculiar thing. And so, yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Like have you dabbled into other creative mediums or explored stuff or?
You know, I've dabbled into video here and there, you know, but that's
yeah.
like,
What was that like? Yeah, what was that like?
So
in relationship to photo.
So the second part of my business, what I do is branding and like PR, right? Marketing. Right. So when I lived in Los Angeles, I was a publicist under Dominique Simpson. Shout out to Dominique. She's like one of the best in the game.
Let's go.
To learn from, to just be around. And so I did publicist or PR work in Los Angeles, came over here to Arizona, and still was in branding, marketing. I'm in advertising as well right now. So like it's using the fact that I can take visuals and really put it out there in a way that people can connect, that can elevate a brand, right? So I don't know if that's creative. I feel like that's more of like the logical side of what you do with what you've now created. But yeah, no, I don't feel like I've dibbled or dabbed in any other creative things.
Yeah, because I was on a trip with a friend. I think we were in LA, and we were at a gas station, like getting gas or whatever. There was like 3 of us in the car. The driver like got out, and the 2 of us were in the car. And I asked him like do you do anything creative? I know he's my homeboy, and he works in tech. He's like a software engineer, and like do you feel like there's anything creative about your job? And he's like, yeah, like I come up with creative solutions. Like I have to abstractly think about ways to take these logical aspects, these
like
ones
he
and
asking
zeros.
for a raise for me. Yeah. Like I come up with creative
right
thoughts.
right exactly. And it shifted me because it's like it adds to the just the narrow thought that like creativity only comes through these handful of mediums of like painting and pictures and fashion and like whatever. It's like what creative really is like being able to come up with solutions to different things in different ways. And so like for us, like we're coming up with like solutions to be able to help people scale and grow their business. And like we just so happen to have this medium that pushes that and gets a lot of eyes. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. How do you kind of feel about that?
No, that's so right. Like I love that. And it goes back to, you know, just really being a creative and being a photographer, like being able to call yourself a photographer or a videographer. And because not only are you, like you said, have the medium, but you're coming up with the whole like visual, the whole strategy, how to best shoot someone to
out of nothing. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And like even thinking about like the greatest creator, like being God, it's like nothing into something, right? And it's like, how do we kind of embody that to create beautiful trees, to create lands, to create people, right? Like how do we embody sort of this this element of being able to take nothing and turn it into something that's absolutely beautiful and worth looking at, right? And I think that's sort of the idea of like the eye and like having the eye of photography or whatever. It's like it's like, yo, this is the way that it needs to be shot, the angle, so move here, come here. I have like this vision, this eye, to create something beautiful out of nothing.
Can you be a great creator without having the gift of gab? Meaning, like, can you be a great creator without being able to express your vision?
I don't think so. I think they're intertwined really well. Like when you're creating it, it is like a mode of expression. And so, no, I don't think so.
So are all creators great salesmen. I'm just saying.
Are all creators great salesmen? No. That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, there's always room for improvement, you know?
I love it.
Like, I think, I could probably be better at selling myself and pushing myself out there for sure.
Right. Because I mean, think about it. Like, we're just selling the vision that we're going to create.
Right.
So, when I go back to putting myself out there, why is it that I have a hard time, expressing myself on social media, but I can express to a client this vision and have them buy into the vision, right? Yeah. But I can't. I have a hard time allowing the social media platforms to buy into my vision.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the hesitancy is there?
There's no voice. Yeah. There's no voice. There's no head shakes. There's no even like peculiar looks like like, oh, you don't get that? Let me explain it in a way.
Right. You don't get that.
But you're talking to thin air, like you're talking to the air. So you're like, I post. Do they like it? Do they not? I have a little heart that tells me if they do, but is that even accurate? You know? Right. So it's there's no voice. You know?
Yeah. And the hard thing is that it's like the chicken or the egg situation, right? It's like, which one comes first? Like, in order to develop that voice, you need to post. But like, you don't want to post.
What do you guys want to see?
Exactly. That's hilarious. Yeah, I've been fascinated with like documentation for sure. Yeah. It's like documenting the journey. So like I have a couple reels that I'm like creating in the editing software or whatever, where like it literally just set up my iPhone like on a shoot, and like there's sounds, and we come together and pull those things together where it's like the BTS, and then I share like the photos that I created with those on the drops or whatever.
Yes.
And it's like using social media. I think what's helped me is like using social media as like a sort of canvas of like to turn something and turn nothing, like there's nothing there, into something that's worth looking at.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I got to change my perspective on the social media thing,
It takes so much time. It's so hard to. It's like, it's so annoying. But I love it. It's good. Yeah. So what's next? What's next for you? Do you know? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's like kind of you're working through that. What are some things for you that kind of come to mind?
What's next? What's next for me is, accepting the evolution of my business and my art, and like I had said, just the different clientele. I started off with just headshots, actors, models, moved into like more brands and business, and now more athletes, and really just challenging myself to become a better photographer, a better creative. Like, how can I continue to challenge myself, my art, and not just shoot? Of course, you get better with shooting because it's just like working out. The muscle's going to grow. But I also, it's like, okay, I've been here. Now let's see where we can go. Where can we take this body, or where can we take this art, body of work? Ooh, I like that.
Hey, there you go. That's the name of the next show. Let's go. Trademarked here, baby.
And so challenging myself as a creative, just kind of stepping it up in my delivery of like how I shoot. Want to incorporate some more traveling. Like, I love traveling. My passport got crazy stamps. Like, I love traveling, because I feel like when I grew up, I knew California and Las Vegas. That was it. Never even touched East Coast until I was late 20s, so never went out of the country until I was late 20s, so a lot of that is like showing. I know we have social media and the kids can go and look at stuff, but allowing them to see the world through my lens, through my perspective, capturing the locals, that don't get to tell their story, and things along those lines. So really, looking to incorporate more travel, even with the times that we're in, just traveling more smarter, so definitely doing that. And then lastly, I do, like, I felt the reward when teaching other photographers. You know, I did. It was nice. It was awesome to allow other photographers to expand their eye and you know, get excited about their work and step out and shoot up new things and challenge photographers. So right now I kind of have the class on pause because I'm like, okay, how can I deliver something even better? You know, like, I'm all about like that personal connection, authenticity. So I don't want people to just like get content that they can go to on Pinterest or YouTube. Like, I really want them to feel like they have someone in the game with them that they can trust, no judgment on their work. And I'm just going to challenge you to be a better photographer, you know, and be proud of your work. And yeah, so kind of like thinking my class through, you know, thinking that through of like what I want to bring to people to elevate their own work as I elevate mine as well.
Preach. That's amazing. It's gonna happen. It's gonna come through. Thank you. I believe in you. I trust in you. You're gonna do it. Of course. So
I mean, this guy right here, you know, like, let me just tell y'all,
just trying to be a humble servant, man.
No, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate this time on your podcast. I love seeing you evolve. I really do. I really do. You always have something up your sleeve. And so, I love seeing you evolve.
Full of surprises.
Your work really does match your vibe. You know what I mean? Your work really matches your vibe. And I think that's important. Like, that's the guarantee that you're giving people is like that vibe. You know, it's like, okay, I know if I work with him, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z, and you can see it through your work. And so you're doing good. I love, keep it coming, you know, keep the hot work, the video, crazy, crispy. It's insane. It's insane what you've done in the video room. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, any last words to the folks? Any last words of encouragement, inspiration? Any last little nuggets that you want to share?
Like, be a person that like praises what I do, but I cannot give you buck. Okay, like be a person that really does things out of love and passion, right? But put some respect on your name. Like, be confident. Know your worth. It's okay if someone says no, it's all right. That's cool, because you're gonna get a yes, and you have to rest in that like, you know what, one person's no doesn't dictate my gift. It doesn't dictate if I, you know, do this business. It doesn't dictate if I put myself out there, you know. Just keep it real, keep it authentic, you know, but don't let society or these imaginary timelines or you know, dictate how you do business. For sure.
Love it. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for pulling up. I appreciate you, and cheers.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Element Podcast.
Let's get it.
I love it.
Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Make sure that you guys do the whole thing. Like, subscribe, share with your mama, the church mom, share with y'all. But yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. And until next time, this is the Element Podcast. My name is Askia. This was Holley. And we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, yeah, follow me. Follow me.
We're going to drop all that. We'll drop all that.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's real out here. So let's make this happen. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Peace. Sweet.
That's awesome. That was good, eh? Thank you.
Yes, of course.
That was really, really good.